Discover the heartwarming moment when a hidden millionaire changes a poor girl's life forever. Ellie stood behind the counter of the diner, wiping down the sticky surface with a rag as the aroma of greasy fries wafted through the air. Her heart raced with the promise of a brighter future, but uncertainty gnawed at her like a hungry dog. Her dreams of college felt like delicate whispers drowned out by the clamor of bills piling up back home. At 15, she balanced her studies with her part-time job, juggling responsibilities like an acrobat on a tightrope. But with each shift at the diner, she found solace in the friendly faces that filled the booths, especially the warm smile of Mr. Johnson, a war veteran whose eyes sparkled with stories untold. As he sat by the window each Friday, sipping coffee, Ellie was captivated by his tales of courage, camaraderie, and dreams, a world far removed from her own. She served him pie with a generous scoop of ice cream, and he always insisted on leaving a tip much larger than necessary. "You have the fire, Ellie," he'd say, his voice both kind and firm. "Never let it dim." Then one fateful day, a letter arrived with her name on it, stamped with hope and stitched with worry. A scholarship. Her heart raced, a winding path had just opened up. But before she could dance with joy, life threw its cruel curveballs. Her mother fell ill weak from a bout of flu that required medication they could hardly afford. The weight of the world pressed down on Ellie, making it hard to breathe. At the same time, Mr. Johnson was dealing with his own troubles. During his visits, Ellie noticed he was frilier, his smile dimming like a candle flickering in the wind. She feared what would happen if she lost the one person who believed in her dreams, the one who fought against her self-doubt. Days turned into sleepless nights as Ellie felt the walls closing in. Should she ask Mr. Johnson for help? The words felt heavy on her tongue. It twisted inside her pride, fending off desperation. But when he finally revealed his hidden life, the truth was staggering. Wealth flowed through his past like a river, yet he'd chosen a humble existence. The idea that he could save her from drowning in the financial chaos was both a lifebuoy and a bitter pill to swallow. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the community sensing injustice brewing in the air, a meeting was naturally called. As neighbors gathered, murmurs floated through the room, some voices saturated with judgment, others full of compassion. Ellie stood at the center, heart pounding as she pleaded for help, for understanding that the struggles they faced were shared by many, not just her own. Would the townsfolk rally, or would the status quo hold fast against them? Yet as Mr. Johnson's health teetered on the brink, Ellie felt the embers of hope stirring in her chest. Inspired by the old man's tenacity, she envisioned a charity event, a night bursting with laughter, spirit, and unity, a celebration that could bring the town together. But as her heart swelled with purpose, a flicker of fear lingered. What if her plans fell flat, just as her dreams were starting to shine? The road ahead was uncertain, but in that moment, under the flickering lights of the diner, she knew it was time to fight for a brighter future. Ellie's mind whirled with ideas as she left the diner that night, the crisp air biting at her cheeks. The thought of the charity event ignited a new sense of purpose within her, but the challenges seemed insurmountable. How could she possibly organize something like that? She needed help, resources, and most importantly, just a little bit of luck. Determined, Ellie made her way to her house. The flickering porch light barely illuminated the front steps as she slipped inside. The silence enveloped her, heavy and thick. Her mother lay asleep on the couch, a blanket thrown over her frail figure. A pang of sorrow struck Ellie. How could she ask for help when her own family struggled to get by? It felt like the weight of the world pressed down on her. That evening, she sat down at the small kitchen table, the smell of faded coffee lingering in the air. The thought of reaching out to her community suddenly felt daunting. She considered the faces she had seen at the meeting. Would they take her seriously? Would they support the cause? At school the next day, Ellie felt that familiar knot in her stomach. The halls buzzed with chatter and laughter, the scent of cafeteria pizza wafting through the air. She had always felt invisible, a ghost in the backdrop of teenage life. But not today. Today, she needed to be heard. During lunch, she gathered her courage and approached some classmates. "Hey, I'm organizing a charity event," she began, her voice slightly trembling. "It's for my mom's medical bills and Mr. Johnson. I could really use your help." Eyes widened. Questions erupted. Some were skeptical, their expressions whispering why bother. But others leaned in, excitement flickering in their eyes. It only took a few moments for a plan to start taking shape, inspired by Ellie's determination. They brainstormed ideas, tossing thoughts back and forth like a game, and before long, Ellie felt a spark of hope igniting again. The days that followed were a whirlwind. They designed flyers splashed with bright colors, advertised on social media, and spread the word through the small town. The promise of music, games, and food rallied many of the townsfolk. Ellie couldn't believe how quickly people rallied around her. It felt like a warm embrace, a collective pulling together. Yet, amidst the rising excitement, Ellie couldn't shake the anxieties brewing beneath the surface. What if it all fell apart? What if nobody showed up? Her heart raced with each passing thought, an endless reel of self-doubt playing in her mind. But then, she thought of Mr. Johnson. She thought of his unwavering support, his belief in her even when she struggled to believe in herself. On the evening of the event, Ellie stood outside the diner, heart pounding, breath thick in her chest. Colorful lights strung across the entrance glimmered against the night sky. Music filled the air, laughter and chatter intertwined, a sweet symphony of life. For a moment, she hesitated, wondering if she had actually pulled it off. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, and just like that, she was swept into the warmth of the gathering crowd. Faces lit up with joy, all enjoying the festivities. Each smile inspired her. This was what community felt like, a haven of love and support, a tapestry woven with shared struggles and victories. But as the night swelled with vitality, a low cough cut through the laughter. Ellie turned to find Mr. Johnson in the corner, pale and frail, leaning against a table. Panic washed over her. Was he okay? Did he come to support her, or was this too much for him? The truth was about to unfold, and all Ellie could think was how vital this moment was, the culmination of her hopes. Would this be the turning point for not just her dreams, but for Mr. Johnson as well? As she rushed toward him, she could feel the weight of destiny in the air, thick with anticipation. Ellie reached Mr. Johnson just as another fit of cough rattled through his frail body. Her heart clenched at the sight of him, his usually bright eyes dimmed by fatigue. "Mr. Johnson," she gasped, placing her hand on his arm, "are you all right?" He offered her a weak smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Just a little tired, Ellie. This old body isn't what it used to be." She couldn't help but worry. He had always been her rock, the one who believed in her when others hadn't. "You should sit down, maybe get some air." The music blurred into a distant hum as anxiety filled the space between them. "No, no," he insisted, waving his hand lightly, "I'm here to see you succeed. You've done such a beautiful job organizing all of this. Look at everyone, Ellie. They're here for you." As Ellie turned to look at the growing crowd, her heart swelled with pride and joy. People were dancing, eating, mingling, and the laughter felt like a chorus, each note resonating with her determined spirit. But then she turned back to Mr. Johnson. "You need to take care of yourself too, though. I don't want anything to happen to you." He nodded slowly, the concerns of his health weighing heavily on her heart. In that moment, determination surged through her veins. "Let us sit down for a bit. Come on." With Ellie's support, they moved to a quieter corner where the din of the celebration was muffled. She could feel the faint warmth of the lights surrounding them, but it seemed to struggle to reach Mr. Johnson's pale, cold hands. She instinctively pulled off her sweater and draped it over him, a small act of warmth and comfort. "Thank you, Ellie. You're something special, you know that." His voice was soft, but it ignited a spark of confidence deep within her. Before she could respond, a voice broke into their moment. "Ellie. We need you over here." It was Sarah, waving her arms wildly amidst a cluster of friends. Feeling torn, Ellie glanced back at Mr. Johnson, who offered an encouraging smile. "Go on. I'll be fine for a few minutes. I promise." Reluctantly, she stood up, heart fluttering with apprehension. As she joined her friends, the buzz of excitement enveloped her again. They had set up a silent auction table, complete with handwritten bids next to items donated by the townsfolk, a collection of unique trinkets and local art that shone with community spirit. "Ellie. You won't believe the buzz. People are so into this. We've raised almost $2,000 already." Her heart skipped. "Really? That's amazing." They huddled around the table, diving into conversations with friends and donors, and for a fleeting moment, Ellie felt invincible. Yet, the image of Mr. Johnson lingered in her thoughts. Suddenly, she spotted a figure out of the corner of her eye. A man stood by the long table, examining the auction items with keen interest. He was dressed in a wool coat, his hair tousled in an appealing way. There was something familiar about him, but she couldn't quite place it. Just as Ellie turned to get a better look, he picked up the pitcher, an old ceramic piece that had belonged to Mr. Johnson. A mix of emotions bruised inside her. It was more than just an object, it held a story, a connection to the man who had always been there for her. The man caught her gaze and smiled. There was something warm in his expression, but Ellie felt the palpable tension of uncertainty growing in the air. An auction with deep personal ties, a community coming together, and a stranger with an inexplicable connection to it all. Was this just a coincidence or fate intertwining their stories in unexpected ways? As the night unfolded, Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that change was on the horizon. What was the man after? What impact would he have on Mr. Johnson's life? With a mix of hope and unease, Ellie leaned back into the festivities, determined to uncover the truth. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of a journey that could alter everything. The atmosphere buzzed with energy as Ellie's heart raced. She felt the eyes of the man on her, an intensity she couldn't ignore. What did he want with the pitcher? Why did it seem so important to him? She hesitated, a swirl of emotions overtaking her, and glanced back at Mr. Johnson. There he sat, wrapped in her sweater, a soft smile gracing his lips despite his obvious exhaustion. Ellie's mind flickered with concern. She couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was happening with the man could tie back to Mr. Johnson. With a deliberate breath, she pushed through the crowd, weaving around dancers and friends until she stood next to the stranger. "Excuse me," she said, her voice steadier than her heartbeat. "May I ask why you're interested in that picture?" He turned fully to her, settling his gaze steadily on her face. "Ah, it's a beautiful piece, isn't it? It belonged to my grandmother. I've spent years searching for it. It means a lot to me." Something deep within her shifted. "You know Mr. Johnson?" "Yes," he nodded, his expression softening. "I knew him well. My name is Alex. I grew up in this town and used to visit him. He always had stories to tell." Recognition flickered in her mind. "You're Alex." The name brought back fragments from her younger years, summer afternoons spent listening to Mr. Johnson whispering about the boy who would one day come to look for treasures from his past. Alex smiled, an echo of light in the lingering uncertainty. "Yes, that's me. I came home to visit and heard about this auction. It's been quite some time since I've seen Mr. Johnson." Ellie's breath caught. "He's here just over there." She pointed, already wanting to rush him over. There was a sense of destiny hanging in the air. "Is he all right?" I heard he wasn't well. That's why I wanted to come back. A shadow passed over his expression. I'm worried about him, Ellie confessed, her heart heavy with the knowledge that his health was fragile, but invigorated by Alex's concern. He was just coughing earlier. But he's so proud of what we're doing here. With a determined nod, Alex glanced back towards Mr. Johnson, then focused on Ellie. Then let's make sure he knows how much we care about him, shall we? Without hesitation, they went to Mr. Johnson's side. As they approached, Mr. Johnson's eyes lit up with recognition. Alex. My boy. He struggled to sit upright, happy tears pooling in his eyes. Mr. J, I've missed you. Alex took his hand, holding it tight. I never forgot the stories, and now everyone's gathered here for you. I see you're still the life of the party. A wave of warmth swept through Ellie, watching the reunion unfold. For the first time this evening, she felt a lightness, a hope igniting in her chest that things would be all right. But as the trio shared laughter and stories, something flickered in Alex's expression, an unreadable emotion hiding just beneath the surface. She felt compelled to ask, but hesitation held her back. Uncertainty buzzed inside her, but soon the moment of happiness faded, replaced with thoughts of the auction and what awaited her. Alex, she ventured cautiously, what happens when you get the picture? Does it mean something more to you? His smile faltered momentarily, revealing a deeper truth. It's not just a picture, Ellie. It's a family legacy. And there is something I need to tell you. The room around them grew quiet as Ellie leaned in, anticipation and desperation tingling in her limbs. Would this revelation change everything? Would it be the piece of the puzzle she didn't know she needed? As she waited, her heart raced, on the brink of something profound. And just like that, the course of the evening seemed to shift again. What would Alex reveal, and how could it potentially shape her world? Alex's breath hitched for a moment, and the pause hung between them like a fragile thread. Ellie could see the weight in his eyes, a mixture of joy and sorrow that was hard to decipher. The light from the overhead chandeliers shimmered off their faces, casting shadows that danced like the emotions swirling within the room. It's not just about the picture, Ellie, he finally said, his voice steady but soft. It symbolizes everything my family has been through. It belonged to my great-grandmother, who fled during the war, carrying nothing but that piece. She rebuilt our family from the ground up. Ellie could feel the gravity of his words. And you think it might be at this auction? I hope so. It's the one piece I've always believed would come back to me somehow. But he hesitated again, glancing towards Mr. Johnson, who was watching them curiously. There's more to it than that. The reason I came back for it wasn't just for me. It's about honoring my roots and the resilience of those who came before me. Ellie felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. In his search for something tangible, Alex had unearthed layers of identity and family history. That's beautiful, she said, feeling her heart swell with empathy. You must feel a strong connection to those stories. He nodded, his gaze steady on her. The stories Mr. Johnson shared with me guided me through tough times. They reminded me of the love that binds families together, no matter how far apart they become. But, Ellie, I also came back to fulfill a promise to myself, to make sure I didn't forget where I came from. Ellie was silent for a moment, absorbing his words. The hope, the longing, the weight of legacy, each word resonated within her. Her own life had been a tapestry of hard times and dreams too. What about Mr. Johnson? She asked, tilting her head toward the man who had been a father figure, a storyteller for many. What do you think he would say about all this? He'd tell me to keep searching, keep believing, Alex replied, a confidence creeping into his voice. And maybe he'd remind me that sometimes the things we seek most come in the least expected ways. Ellie's heart pounded with newfound urgency. She leaned in closer, the excitement bubbling deep within her. Maybe you could tell him about your grandma. About the legacy. He would love to hear that. I think I will, Alex smiled, his tension easing somewhat. But then he hesitated. But first, I need to know how much of my own truth can be shared. Ellie caught his gaze, determination filling her chest. Whatever it is, you can share it with me. I'm here with you. His expression became serious. Ellie, it's just, this picture, it has a secret tied to my family. One that could change everything. Her pulse raced again, this time with a mix of excitement and fear. Secrets had a way of unraveling and binding, and she felt the pull between hope and anxiety. What's the secret? She breathed, almost afraid to ask. The air grew heavy with anticipation as Alex shifted his feet. When I find the picture, I might just discover where I truly belong. And it might also reveal an unexpected connection to you. Ellie's heart skipped a beat. Me? The word escaped her lips in shock, her mind racing with possibilities. As Alex's expression deepened, Ellie felt as though time had stopped. The dance music faded to the background, and this monumental moment loomed before them like an open door. What did he mean? What connection could exist between them? The evening brimmed with tension and potential as they stood on the brink of unraveling their intertwined destinies. The silence enveloping them felt thick, brimming with wonder and uncertainty. Ellie's heart raced with hope, yet fear crept in, whispering doubts. What kind of connection could there possibly be? She searched Alex's face, reading the mixture of eagerness and apprehension. Ellie, he started slowly, there are family stories that don't just bind us to the past. They can bridge into the future, too. I've heard bits and pieces from my grandmother, but I've only scratched the surface. Maybe, just maybe, our stories intertwine in ways I haven't even realized. Ellie's mouth felt dry as she struggled to comprehend. Do you think your family was connected to mine? Or is it something else? The thought arrived like a burst of confetti suddenly filling the air, bright yet chaotic. I don't know, he admitted, his brow furrowing. But I believe the picture holds answers. Maybe even about where I came from and where I'm meant to go. With the music ebbing into a soft lull, the bustling auction hall felt distant. In this moment, there were just the two of them, locked in a shared journey that seemed as vast as the sky. And what if we find something unexpected? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Something that changes everything. Then we face it together, Alex said firmly, his hand brushing against hers, sending a jolt of warmth. Their fingers lingered for just a heartbeat before Ellie pulled back, grappling with the gravity of his words. She could feel the weight of the past whispering in agreement. The losses in her life, the dreams she held on to tightly, she knew all too well how fragile connections could be. Can you really come back from loss, Alex? Can you truly believe in the unexpected when everything feels so uncertain? He took a deep breath, his eyes reflecting a quiet determination. It's all about taking the first step. Sometimes it's about trusting that what is broken can still be made whole, that we can rewrite our stories if we dare to. As he spoke, Ellie's mind raced with ideas, images of shattered dreams being pieced together like glass mosaics. Could their potential bond extend beyond just history? Mr. Johnson's voice broke through their reverie. Alex. Ellie. We're starting soon. Get ready. Ellie's heart was caught between excitement and trepidation. As they walked to the auction room, Alex's hand fell softly on her back, guiding her forward, filling her with a sense of assurance. What would it mean to discover the truth of their intertwined pasts? Would they walk out of here with hope, or stand on the precipice of something deeply unsettling? As the auctioneer greeted everyone, Ellie felt the pulse of the crowd, a wave of energy that mixed anticipation with anxiousness. Are you ready? Alex asked, his voice a mixture of excitement and tension. In so many ways, she replied, trying to shake off the butterflies swirling within her. As the bidding began, Ellie's gaze drifted to the front of the room, where a silver glint caught her eye. Was at the picture. Her heart raced. But then she turned back to Alex, the feeling of possibility washing over her. She didn't just want to discover who they were, she wanted to know where they could go together. And then, she took a step closer to him, feeling like they were both on the brink of something extraordinary. What lay ahead as the bidding continued? Would it bring clarity, or unravel even more secrets? The air in the auction hall crackled with tension as the auctioneer's voice rose and fell, drawing everyone's attention like a magnet. Each bid felt like a heartbeat, pulsing through the crowd, and Ellie's pulse quickened in tandem. The silver pitcher was finally revealed, glimmering under the spotlight, its contours smooth and elegant. It felt almost surreal to be seeing it like this, to be so close to a potential piece of history. "Look at it," Ellie whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. The pitcher seemed to call out to her, its shiny surface like a mirror reflecting her hopes and fears. "It's beautiful." "Beautiful and meaningful," Alex replied, his voice low as he leaned closer, keeping the moment intimate. He could feel her excitement, but she was still holding back. As the bid started to rise, Ellie felt a gnawing sense of urgency. What if this was it? What if this pitcher had answers? But could they afford it? Her heart sank a little at the thought. The numbers floated higher, but so did her anxiety. She turned to Alex, searching his eyes for reassurance. "What if we can't get it?" "We can find a way," he replied, determination lacing his words. "I won't let fear stop us." His gaze was steady, anchoring her amidst the chaotic energy of the auction. Suddenly, a voice rang out from the back of the room, deep and commanding. 15,000. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Ellie's heart dropped. With each successive bid, she could feel her dreams inching further away. Was discovering their shared history worth this kind of sacrifice? As the bids climbed, Alex squeezed her hand, grounding her. "Ellie, it's not just about this moment. It's about what this means for us, for our futures." She looked at him, searching for the truth in his eyes. In an instant, it all clicked. This picture wasn't just an auction item, it was a bridge, a potential way to connect with her past, and perhaps even his. With a sudden rush of courage, she whispered, "Let us do it. Let us go all in." Alex nodded with a spark in his eyes. "All right. How much do we have?" After counting their resources, they realized they could stretch to 16,000 if they pooled their funds. It felt reckless, yet liberating. This wasn't just about the pitcher. It was a gamble on their collective journey, a step into a story that was only beginning. As the auctioneer raised his gavel again, Ellie felt a surge of adrenaline. They exchanged a quick look, a pact formed in that silent moment. Bids flew past them until there was a serious bidder at 18,000. The auctioneer's gavel rose, preparing to crash down. 20,000. Ellie blurted out, her voice ringing clear across the hall, surprising even herself. Gasps swept through the crowd. Alex turned to her, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Are you sure?" She nodded, feeling a fire ignite within her. This was bigger than both of them. As the auctioneer retreated to verify the bid, murmurs cascaded through the room. They were in it now, but what lay beyond the gavel's crash? If they secured the pitcher, what stories would unfold? Secrets waiting to be unveiled, or connections that would change everything? Ellie held her breath, waiting for the moment of truth. Would the gavel fall in their favor, or would they stand empty-handed, faced with yet another lost opportunity? Ellie's heart raced like a runaway train as she watched the auctioneer nod toward the back of the room, preparing to finalize the bid. The murmurs swirled around her, a sea of anxious voices drowning out her thoughts. She leaned in closer to Alex, her breath quickening. "Did I really just do that?" "I think you did. And you were amazing," he said, his smile breaking through the tension. But it didn't reassure her as much as she hoped. Should she feel exhilarated or terrified? This was their moment, yet the weight of their decision hung heavily. The auctioneer cleared his throat, and the crowd grew silent. "We have a bid of 20,000. His voice cut through the stillness like a knife. "Are there any further bids?" The seconds felt like hours as Ellie and Alex held their breath. They scanned the room, trying to gauge the expressions of the other bidders. Uncertainty loomed large, and for Ellie, it was a reminder of her precarious position. A man in a tailored suit raised his hand hesitantly. 21. Ellie felt her heart sink. Her fingers clenched around Alex's, their connection both a comfort and a reminder of what they were fighting for. What now? She whispered, panic rising. Just wait, Alex urged, his eyes focused on the auctioneer. We can make it. As the auctioneer opened the bidding once more, adrenaline flooded Ellie's body. 22,000. Alex shouted, surprising them both. Gasps echoed again. The man in the suit frowned, then shot his hand up again. 23. 24. Ellie and Alex shouted almost in unison, the desperation in their voices palpable. The auctioneer's gavel hovered, ready to seal their fate. Are you both sure? Alex asked, worry creasing his brows. This is getting crazy. Well, it's too late to turn back, Ellie said, each word lined with determination. We've come this far. We need to know. With one final overwhelmingly loud voice from the back, a woman shouted, 25,000. Ellie could only stare blankly ahead, stunned. The fire inside her began to dim. Was it all for nothing? The auctioneer hesitated, eyes darting around the room. This was the moment. Going once, going twice. Ellie's heart drummed wildly. Time smudged as a haze of uncertainty clouded her vision. This wasn't just a picture anymore, it was a chance at something far bigger. 26,000. She finally shouted, surprising everyone including herself. Silence blanketed the room, leaving only the echo of her words. The auctioneer looked surprised. The crowd held its breath, unsure if they would receive any pushback. Ellie could feel the weight of onlookers' gazes on her, judging but also intrigued. 26,000. The auctioneer repeated slowly, processing her bid. Any other offers? And just like that, in the span of a few heartbeats, she realized they had crossed a line, a barrier that perhaps shouldn't have been crossed. As the auctioneer raised his gavel once more, anticipation crackled like static in the air. Going once, going twice. Then, a moment of clarity pierced through the chaos. The picture, the bids, everything. Ellie's hopes hung by a thread. What if this ends badly? What if we lose everything? But deep down, she knew, it had already changed them. Ellie's breath caught as she watched the gavel descend. Would it herald a chance for discovery or the end of a wild chase? Sold. The auctioneer bellowed. Ellie's heart dropped, a roller coaster of emotions crashing within her. What had they just committed to? What would they uncover now? As cheers erupted around her, a new wave of uncertainty swept through. For better or worse, this was only the beginning. What secrets lived within that silver pitcher? Ellie stood frozen, confusion swirling in her mind like autumn leaves caught in a storm. The crowd around her erupted into applause, the noise merging into a blur that faded into the background. She felt a tug on her hand, and it brought her back to the moment, back to Alex's eager gaze full of excitement. Did we really just win? He asked, disbelief dancing in his voice. Her mind raced. The weight of their winning bid hung over her, and with it came a tidal wave of questions. What now? She managed to whisper, staring at the podium holding the shiny silver pitcher that had stolen her heart. Now we get it. Alex grinned, his excitement palpable, but beneath that gleeful veneer, Ellie sensed a worry bubbling just beneath the surface. As the auctioneer finalized the details with a crowd of eager attendees clamoring for the next item, Ellie felt a deep breath catch in her throat. She knew this was just the start, but part of her felt an almost instinctual dread. What if this was too much? What if they had stepped into a world they didn't belong to? Before she could voice her concerns, they were led backstage. The silver pitcher sparkled under the fluorescent lights, and Ellie felt a strange mixture of reverence and fear as she approached it. It was just a picture, wasn't it? Yet it felt like it held centuries of secrets she was about to unlock. Ellie. Alex interrupted her thoughts. You okay? His brow furrowed in concern. She nodded slowly, though her heart didn't share her words. I want this to mean something. I don't want it to be a stupid impulse. The words poured out, unfiltered. Trust me, it'll be worth it. We took a risk, and that's part of the adventure. We'll figure it out together. His words uplifted her, reinforcing their connection. Still, a shadow crept into her chest, a reminder that risks didn't always come without costs. They were handed the picture, its cool metal gleaming in Ellie's hands, feeling heavier than she expected. What do we even do with it now? She murmured, her fingers caressing the intricate designs. I guess we should start by figuring out its story, Alex suggested, his excitement rekindling. We'll contact an appraiser and find out its history. We might be sitting on something incredible. Ellie managed a smile, the thought of adventure starting to seep in. Sure, let us investigate. But, what if it's just a fancy antique? Then it becomes our fancy antique. He leaned closer, a mischievous glint in his eyes. We'll make it our centerpiece. Besides, it'll be fun. As they walked out into the evening light, the weight of their expensive purchase started to feel lighter. At the same time, doubt nibbled at the edges of Ellie's hope. She looked at Alex's confident smile and felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Later that night, after they returned home, Ellie found herself staring at the picture sitting on the dining table. Its presence was both daunting and magnetic. Could it really change their lives? She ran her fingers over the metal, tingling as if the picture was alive. What had they unknowingly unlocked? Suddenly, a strange thought crossed her mind. What if it has a history we can't even imagine? With her heart racing again, her curiosity spurred her to action. She walked to her laptop and typed the words antique silver pitcher, setting off a cascade of searches about styles, makers, and value. Hours slipped by as she searched various details. Just as her eyelids began to droop with fatigue, a hit caught her eye. A name that felt oddly significant began to reveal itself, surrounded by whispers of fortune and legacy. Her breath quickened. Alex. You need to see this. She called, her voice rushing through the still air. When he came in, sleepy but intrigued, Ellie pointed at the screen, excitement mixed with trepidation. This picture, it's linked to a local millionaire. The revelation hung in the air, thick with possibilities. What doors would this open? Would they unearth a life-altering connection or simply fall deeper into the unknown? As they both stared at the screen, Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing at the edge of something profound. What awaited them beyond this discovery? This wasn't just about a picture anymore, it was a glimpse at a destiny neither of them saw coming. The day arrived, a sunlit Saturday bursting with possibility, as Ellie and Alex prepared for the next chapter in their journey. Around them, the small town felt alive, full of promise and excitement for the unfolding adventure. As they entered the Historical Society's building, Ellie clutched the picture tightly in her hands, its cool metal reminding her of the journey they had undertaken. The air inside was filled with echoes of the past, old photographs, dusty books, and the scent of polished wood. They could practically hear the whispers of history begging to be uncovered. Ellie felt a thrill of anticipation course through her veins. Today, they would unravel the secrets of the picture and discover its ties to their lives. Are you ready? Alex asked, his eyes dancing with enthusiasm. More than ready, Ellie replied, her heart racing as they approached a table draped with a faded velvet cloth. An elderly woman sat behind it, her spectacles perched on her nose as she looked up with curiosity. Good morning, young folks. How can I help you today? Her voice was warm and inviting. We found this picture, and we think it might be related to a local millionaire, Ellie said, unable to keep the excitement from her voice. We want to learn more about it. The woman's eyes widened, intrigue sparking. Well, let me take a look. With bated breath, Ellie placed the picture on the table, the metal gleaming against the soft light. As the woman inspected it, Ellie and Alex exchanged glances filled with shared anticipation. Interesting, the woman murmured, this design is reminiscent of a very particular style, one that was popular among the elite of the time. I believe it may be linked to the McAllisters, a prominent family in the area. Ellie felt her heart skip. The McAllisters? What do you know about them? The woman gestured for a file tucked away on a shelf behind her. Let me show you. As she flipped through old papers and photographs, Ellie's excitement grew. She could hardly believe how deeply intertwined their lives could be with the stories of yesteryear. Here, the woman said, pulling out an old newspaper clipping. This article mentions a gathering they held in this very town, a charity event for veterans. Mr. Johnson was one of its beneficiaries. Mr. Johnson? Ellie gasped, a rush of connection washing over her. He shared stories from that era. Indeed, he did, the woman replied, her gaze softening. He was close to the family, a friend through thick and thin. The words wrapped around Ellie's heart like a warm embrace. The realization struck her hard, the community bonds that spilled from generations past were still alive today. They weren't merely chasing a historical artifact, they were threading together a legacy. What else can you tell us? Alex leaned in, drawing closer, visibly captivated by the unfolding tale. The McAllisters had a unique tradition of passing down heirlooms, much like this picture, the woman explained. But as wealth shifted, many descendants lost touch with their roots, abandoning cherished items. Some, like this picture, carry the power of connection, stories of triumph, hope, and resilience. Ellie and Alex exchanged thoughts in quiet understanding, their minds racing. Do you think it could hold more secrets? Ellie asked, her voice steady with determination. Absolutely, the woman nodded, pulling another folder from the shelf. There are rumors of a treasure hidden among their belongings, destined for those who embrace their heritage. A treasure? Ellie's thoughts spiraled with excitement. If they unlocked the picturesque history, what else awaited them? Could it lead to filling in the gaps of their own journeys? Can we see more? Ellie asked, her eyes sparkling with hope. Of course, follow me, the woman said, leading them deeper into the archives. As they explored the treasures visible in the room, each item felt like a stepping stone toward uncovering a collective past, each name, each story rippling through time. Later that afternoon, after sifting through files and laughing over stories of the McAllister family, Ellie knew. This was just the beginning. Behind all the artifacts, a thread, a connection between the past and her own story was emerging. Back at the diner, they decided to share what they had found with Mr. Johnson. He deserved to know how deep his impact had reached, how his stories were woven with those of the townsfolk, including the family of the pitcher. As they entered, the familiar warmth of the diner enveloped them. Mr. Johnson greeted them with that trademark grin, but today, it felt even wider. Ellie. Alex. You're back. He exclaimed, motioning them closer. Mr. Johnson, you won't believe what we found. Ellie said, her excitement bubbling over. As she recounted the adventure through the archives, Mr. Johnson leaned closer, captivated. With each detail, a spark ignited in his eyes, unveiling memories long tucked away. I remember the McAllisters, he said, his voice cracking slightly. Such kind people. But I had no idea there were connections to that picture. Ellie felt a swell of pride. There's so much more. It means so much to our stories. As their conversation unfolded, Ellie found herself in awe of how stories intertwined, how communities formed, each person a thread weaving the rich tapestry of their lives. That night, as Ellie lay in bed, she smiled, her heart full. The picture was more than just an artifact, it was a reminder of connection, purpose, and the transformative power of curiosity. Suddenly, the world didn't feel so heavy. It pulsed with dreams recognized, with friendships forged, and paths illuminated. Together with Alex, Mr. Johnson, and the community, they could set forth in search of the deeper truths that lay hidden beyond the mundane to unearth stories that connected them all. The camera zoomed out slowly, and Ellie imagined the future unfolding, a community empowered, united in pursuit, and a spirit reborn through the threads of their shared history. This was not just an ending, it was a beginning. Do you feel the magic in every step taken, every story shared? If this journey speaks to you, don't wait. Subscribe immediately to the channel for more exclusive stories that inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us share these moments with others. Comment below and share your thoughts on this beautiful transformation. And don't wait, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how powerful community and connection can truly be. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us keep the stories alive.